Year 2025, month of August. I was going through my discount bookstore and found this book, Structured Cobol Programming 8th edition by Stern & Stern from 1997. It was on clearance, and that's the place that books go right before they are sent to an incinerator. And being absolutely based in Cobol pilled, I, of course, stopped it from heading to the incinerator because we might need this thing because we still have old Cobol out there. This is kind of an impromptu video without the slideshow. I haven't made a video like this in a couple of years, I think, or at least not uploaded one, where I was just kind of sitting in my car. This is the same car where I showed you the Linux kernel copyright information right here in the console. Really getting the mileage out of this car. I think I'm over 200,000. And when you're a Coboler, that's what you do. You get your mileage out of cars. You keep old Cobol books around. And, you do things like live in a trailer, use a really cheap laptop. You do whatever it takes to make sure that your existence on this planet is about catering to this old programming language. I was in an industrial area today of Corpus Christi, and I had looked up a data center, kind of a smaller level data center that is actually in Corpus, not too far from where I officially work, actually. There's no sign out front, but it was listed on datacenters.com. I'm not going to give the address right now. But it's part of a smaller chain of these smaller data centers. And I was so overwhelmingly curious about what was in there because there are Cobol systems that have moved off of physical mainframe hardware and into cloud systems, but it's still Cobol. And that made me stop and reflect about software lasting longer than, hardware platforms. Is that common or uncommon? And I suppose in the Cobol world, it is, of course, very common. But in, some of the mobile stuff, Kotlin and Swift on mobile devices, the hardware just moves from underneath you and, your old software loses its dependencies and it just doesn't work anymore. I remember looking at, what was it? I think Robot Unicorn Attack, and how if you tried to run it on a updated Android, like the pictures of the horse, they just started falling apart, the horse graphics, and it wouldn't load anymore. And it was just sad seeing a beloved app just fall apart. I'm going to have to stop and think and do a little bit more research about that. But, here's some advanced Cobol. And I've got some there's some notes in here that people had left, handwritten notes, and these printed out assignments. I'm not sure what university was teaching Cobol in 97. It was outdated then and outdated now in 2025, but yes, if Cobol is around, you have to, and you are a Cobol developer of some kind, you are trying to cater to the old stuff. It's important to kind of keep these books around because they might be dying for all we know. I don't really know what the modern hot stuff Cobol book is. If you are currently as a Cobol developer in a paid position, please tell me what books are actually recommended. Maybe any of them do, because it's a pretty conservative language. I'm going to try and head to some bigger data centers later this weekend, if I can find the time for it. So hold on a second. I'm going to open this up. See what we got here. Oh yeah, this one had a spacing chart. Let's see here. Wow, yeah, spacing chart. All right, when using a separate clause, such as an on-size error, use a scope terminator with Cobol 85 to delimit or end the arithmetic operation, and add and subtract and multiply and divide are all permissible scope terminators. For Cobol 74, each statement ends with a period instead of a scope terminator. Variations to Cobol out there. You got to be aware of that. I said in a video years ago, we just need to, migrate from Cobol to Java and C#, and that'll make the next thing that we migrate to easier, whether it's Go or Rust or what comes beyond Go and Rust. Oh, here's something interesting. The future of Cobol. The future of Cobol has been the subject of much discussion in recent years. It is, after all, a language that has been in existence for over 40 years, while newer languages now have more features that make them more suitable for PC-based applications. But Cobol is likely to remain an important language in the years ahead. Consider the following facts. According to the DataPro Information Services Group, an estimated 150 billion lines of Cobol source code are currently in use, with programmers adding about 5 billion lines each year. According to the DataPro Information Services Group, 42.7% of all applications development programmers in medium to large U.S. companies use Cobol. International Data Corporation reports that revenues for Cobol desktop developers are expected to be $176.4 million by 1998. These revenues have increased from $86.3 million in 1993 to an average growth rate of 15.4% a year. These facts suggest that Cobol will remain an important language in the years ahead for two reasons. Older mainframe-based legacy systems will need to be maintained by maintenance programmers who know Cobol, and two, Cobol is still being used by many organizations for new application development. I'm not quite sure about the new application development stuff, but the maintenance, yes. Yes, in 2025, they were right in 1997. God, I love Cobol.